Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Disturbing the Burbs. Tonight we have a very titillating episode. I'm Jim Sharon, and tonight I've got with me, again, my lovely wife, Jennifer.
Hello.
How are you doing tonight, Jen?
Doing good. Got a drink in my hand.
Yeah, as usual. I've got one, too.
Got my man beside me.
Well, across from you.
Whatevs.
Yeah. And welcome to our listeners, our faithful few that keep on returning and listening to our episodes. We appreciate you guys.
Our faithful Disturbinites.
Yes, our faithful Disturbinites. And where are we disturbing? We are disturbing in the suburbs of Seattle in Washington State. For those of you that do not live in the greater Seattle area, that's where we host our podcast.
Snohomish,
Washington. It's about 25 miles north of... Shall we give them our address so they can come stalk us?
I think that's okay. We're good.
Anyway, it's been kind of crazy the last couple weeks. We haven't recorded an episode for a little bit. Just a hot spell.
Life happens.
You were sick over the holidays, and then I got the crud, the dreaded crud that's going around.
I would like to state, though, that I was fully over my crud before you got your crud.
So there was no cross-crudding.
That's correct.
Yeah, it was just individual solitude, or could we call it cruditude? Uniquely sourced. Yes.
I'm not responsible for you.
Yes, it was a purely organic crud. So that was...
Yay, winter.
Yeah, mine kind of turned into a sinus infection. Everybody's been getting sick this winter, and it's just cyclical, and it's one person right after the other is kind of going through the same thing. So... elderberries, that's what we found out.
I was just going to say, we're new fans of elderberries.
Yeah, we have a neighbor and friend, Isabel, that is into naturopathic medicine. Is that the right way to pronounce it?
It is.
Yeah. And she said, dude, you need to be eating elderberries. And that's my best German accent because she's German.
So true.
So we've been pounding the elderberries. Is there elderberries in Palomas? No, I don't think so. But we're pounding those as well.
That's,
I don't know if they cancel each other out.
We're preventing the coronavirus. So
I'm preventing the Heineken virus.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. So, yeah, it's been a bit since we posted an episode.
It's all right.
Yeah. So, anyway, the coronavirus is from the Wuhan province of China.
Right.
And I looked up coronavirus because I really didn't, I haven't heard of coronavirus before. And contrary to popular belief, it is not inflicted by drinking lots of Coronas or Corona Lights with limes. It's actually a virus that is commonly found in animals and not necessarily humans. But
until it mutates.
Until it mutates, right. And that's, I think, what happened here. Or I want to believe that's what happened because I'm all about the mutations. And but anyway, it's pretty incredible that we have an increasing number of folks here in the U.S. that are being treated for the coronavirus.
It seems like a one that's really rapidly spreading. Well, and in heavily, densely populated China, it's going nuts.
You know what's going to happen?
Full annihilation of the human race.
Zombies. Zombies are what happens when there's a virus outbreak. But I just recently read as of today or yesterday that the death toll in China is up to 106. So that's pretty crazy for a virus outbreak.
When it was just like 25 a couple days ago.
Right.
It's like, get it under control.
I'm sure the CDC is scrambling.
They're taking it totally serious. I saw that they're screening at SeaTac Airport.
Right. And I think that they're working on the whatever it is, antivirus, or, they're trying to get all that figured out. So,
and vaccine, yeah.
And hopefully they'll have that figured out here pretty soon.
So hopefully like a decade from now, this podcast won't be an early record of what happened to the human race, before they got extincted.
It was the goddamn coronavirus. So anyway, I heard the guy in Snohomish had come in contact with something like 40 people here locally. So I'm sure that they're looking at all those people. I kind of wondered if I was one of those people. I don't know. I might brush shoulders with them at Safeway or something.
I mean, I think they caught it pretty quick after he got back from
You think so? I don't know. I think I might have the coronavirus.
You heard it here first, folks. If you haven't heard from us in a week, come and check on us.
And he's in full lockdown there too, up in Everett, whatever hospital he's at.
Treated by a robot.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got a robot going in and poking him, prodding him, on proctology exams and everything just by that robot. They have him bending over, coughing, everything.
Watching on the camera.
Right. And it's done by a robot. So
I don't believe you.
Hey, never let the truth get in the way of good story, right?
Yes, definitely. Okay. Your philosophy.
Yeah, that's my philosophy. Anyway,
moving on.
Well, I love talking about viruses because we actually like movies that,
And that's what it comes down to, right? Is our entertainment.
Right. Yeah. So hopefully they make a movie out of this. But yeah, what are some of the movies that we've watched that are the only one
Outbreak.
that's the one that I think of. And I think that's like Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo, some other dude.
Those are the top two. But yeah, that's a great movie.
And that one is just a straight up virus outbreak,
right?
Sans zombies. But then the only other ones that I could really think of that deal with viruses, it's all like the end result is, living dead, basically.
Yes, there are those, but Contagion is another super serious.
Okay.
Downer.
No, I saw that one on the list. Have we seen that one?
Gwyneth Paltrow, Kate Winslet.
I can't remember whether I watched that one or not.
You've seen it probably just once, though.
Yeah. And then, of course, movies like I Am Legend, which is basically wiping out the entire planet.
Zombie.
Yeah, and there's creatures or, humanoids that have been infected and they're kind of zombie-like creatures. But
right.
There's
a bunch of those.
Yeah, I liked I Am Legend. That one's good. And then 28 Days Later as well.
There's so many more. This is not a genre we explore as thoroughly as some others.
Yeah,
but
you've seen one, you kind of seen them all. And, one of the big virus ones, we watched the show that had come out last year on Fox called The Passage.
That was so good.
And that was a virus based. The book was written, and it's a virus that a scientist picks up, and it actually turns him into a vampire.
Right.
And so the government's kind of playing around with the virus and taking inmates and injecting them with this virus to see what happens. And
bastards.
Yeah. Anyway, that show was canceled after one season.
Yeah.
I think they did a pretty good job, but that's really hard to translate.
That's right. You read those books, didn't you?
Yeah. The books are fantastic. Again, Justin Cronin, and it's The Passage, and that series of books. I think it's a trilogy, if I remember correctly. But they're not bringing that show back. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah. So what else is happening? What else has been happening in the news lately? Because it's been a couple weeks since the Seahawks have been out of the playoffs. Yeah. That was kind of disappointing.
Well, I'm trying not to get too down about it because in reality, they had a much better season than they were predicted to before the season started. So it was overall a really wonderful season.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun to watch them. They finished off 11-5.
I always get so mad at the teams that beat us.
Yeah, you can't help but get mad at Green Bay.
I really hate the 49.
Yeah, the 49ers. So it's the Chiefs and the 49ers in the Super Bowl this weekend.
Trouble. All I can say is that, okay, sure, normally I would want to root for the, Western or whatever team or
the West Coast team, right?
West Coast team.
Yeah.
But when I learned that the Chiefs haven't been to a Super Bowl in like 50 years.
Yeah, it's been a really long time. I can't remember if it's 50 or whatever it is.
Reason enough to root for them.
Yeah, 50, 150. That doesn't matter to me. But yeah.
I think it's 50.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to watch it or not.
Well, I don't know. There's nothing else I like. The commercials.
I'm actually having a person come out here on Sunday during the Super Bowl, and he's going to paint some graffiti up on the wall here in the studio, and that's going to be pretty cool.
So cool.
Yeah. So
You sure he doesn't mind missing the Super Bowl?
I asked him. He said he didn't have any plans, and he'd rather come out and paint.
Okay.
So we're going to get some graffiti up here in the studio wall that says "Disturbin the Burbs," and I've seen the artwork. It's pretty cool.
What colors?
It's going to be kind of the brand colors. So blacks, reds, grays, whites.
Super cool.
I love skulls. So there's a skull involved in a microphone.
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it should be really cool. So we'll take pictures of it and post it up all over the place because we're everywhere now. We're freaking everywhere. We're on LinkedIn, folks.
We are, yeah.
Follow us on LinkedIn.
Twitter.
We're on Twitter, Disturbin the Burbs. On Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere. We're like a baby's explosion in its diaper. It's everywhere, man.
Except a lot more pleasant.
I always take it there, don't I?
You do.
It's all right.
You always
That's
do.
my sense of humor. So, man, and it's been kind of a crazy couple weeks, man.
I was thinking about that. We've got all the violence.
Yeah, there's
like in
crazy
Seattle.
shit happening in Seattle. There's been a couple of big shootings.
There was 3 in a row,
Yeah,
and that's sad to say. That's the only reason it's become newsworthy.
Oh yeah,
It seems like because there's been several.
yeah, and there's been emergency city council meetings, and there's the public's in an uproar because of the violence. Everybody's getting really tired of it, and it's really kind of happening in a corridor downtown, kind of in the 3rd and Pine area. It's by Macy's and kind of down by the McDonald's and in that area. And it's been that way for a long, long time. There's been a lot of violence down in that corridor for quite some time.
Well,
but it's
maybe something will finally be done about it.
Well, yeah, there was a woman that was killed, right? And 7 other people were injured.
A child was shot,
Yeah.
among the 7 that were shot.
Yeah, it's a bad scene. I wouldn't advise anybody going down in that area.
Yeah.
Especially if there's any chance of any sort of copycat nonsense that might happen. I actually had a friend that had an office building up there, right there in that 3rd and Pine area, cheap, of course. So it was good for rent. But he actually he told me he had a concealed carry permit, and he would be packing when he would go to work every day because he was actually felt threatened. By
sign that something is wrong.
Yeah, and even his wife, she would come and have lunch with him occasionally, and she had concealed carry, and she would carry a gun just in case something.
Hey, honey, come out and meet me on 5th and at the restaurant.
Right. Why don't you take an Uber, drive 5 miles out of town?
Meet you over here at Cheesecake Factory.
Right. So anyway, it's just it's kind of crazy of the things that are going on. There's a lot of homelessness and just a lot of kind of not positive things that are happening in downtown Seattle. I still love Seattle. I still love working downtown myself. Mm-hmm. I work in the shadow of the Space Needle,
Which is
right,
really cool.
Yeah, right by Seattle Center. So, I love being down there. I wouldn't change any of that, but it's really kind of sad sometimes to see the way that the city, with its growth that has happened over the last decade, there's a lot of other crap that comes with it. So,
they need to get a handle on.
Yeah. That's about as political as I'm going to get.
Yeah, we should probably move on from that. There's lots more. There's lots more I would say. But.
Yep. And then, of course, last weekend, the news that we got that Kobe Bryant and his daughter and several other people were killed in a
just pile it on this.
It's been the helicopter crash, and it's just really, really sad that it happened. I know he meant a lot to many, many people, and a lot of people. I just watching social media light up and all the news and everything like that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize what kind of effect that he did actually have on people. I'm not a huge NBA fan. Certainly, I knew who he was.
Not anymore, anyway.
Yeah. So, and that not anymore is because the Seattle Supersonics are no longer with us. So.
I'm sorry that I suppose, not everybody is from the Northwest and wouldn't have automatically gotten that comment.
Right. Yeah. But, there's been rumors that we're going to get an NBA team back sometime.
There's
so
hope.
We'll see. I know we're getting an NHL team, a hockey team, and that's going to be right there in Seattle Center, and that'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm actually excited. I like watching hockey. I haven't done a lot of it. I'm not like super into hockey, but I think I could be.
Yeah.
And so if we've got and in with tickets, or if we decide to maybe.
I think it'd be worth definitely picking up a partial season tickets or something like that.
Really
It'd be a lot of fun. Excuse me.
Something to do with Carter too.
Yeah. I think that would be fun, especially when they throw down and start fighting. That's always a good time. So, and then kind of finally, the last couple weeks have been really kind of difficult for us as far as our own personal losses. I had a couple of people that I knew, one from back into my high school days. Actually, both of them I went to high school with and have kept in contact with at least one of them, and had talked to over Christmas. He was playing Santa Claus all through the Christmas holidays, and come to find out last week, I found out that he had died. And that was pretty sad. And I don't know what from. They were doing an autopsy. I haven't heard any results, and I may never hear the results. I just hope that it was something of natural causes and wasn't caused by any mental health issues, and that he was depressed, because all the time he seemed like he was a very happy dude. He loved people. And then the other guy was a brother of a classmate of mine, and on Christmas Day he'd gotten hit by a truck while he was out riding his bike early in the morning, getting some exercise, and so that was some unfortunate news. And then I know that you had a close personal friend,
and not that this makes her any less of a friend. I hadn't met her in person, but I'd known her for probably close to 20 years on Facebook, and she died of a unexpected stroke. Was in a coma for several days and didn't make it back out. My friend Rachel. And I don't have as easy of a time talking about it, but
I mean, it's a
sad thing.
Yes, it's very sad, and she had gone through some personal hard times over the last year, and this was just kind of a sad way to go out, and you just hate seeing that happen to people.
It's just,
it never ceases to amaze me when I actually start taking a tally. I mean, I'm getting older. You're getting older, but I would
none of these folks, were old enough to go.
Right? No, none of them are
that way.
Absolutely not. None of them are old enough. Hadn't lived full lives, especially now with science and medicine, that people tend to live a little bit longer than the age expectancy is a lot older. But I was just thinking, over the last 5 years, how many people, from one reason or another, through accidents or natural causes, or even the dreaded suicide. I've had a lot of people that have left my circle over the last 5 years, and it's kind of mind-boggling.
I know
of the loss that not only me, but a lot of my friends that knew the same people are no longer around. And anyway, it just kind of reminds us that life is short.
Hug your people.
Do
what you love.
Yeah, do the things that you all the things that you say, I'm going to do someday, do it now.
Right.
Do those fun things. Do the traveling. Learn something different. Do a podcast. Do the things that you always said you were going to do, and it's always been sitting there. Because quite frankly, and I'm not meaning to be morbid or anything like that.
Right.
But quite frankly, it's just like, you don't know when your time is. So yeah. Wow, this really kind of took a dive, didn't it?
Well, I was just going to say, the news of the week may have been heavy and down. And, so maybe the first half of this podcast has taken that trend a little bit. But the second half will be a little more fun.
Well, the last news story that I had on here that I wanted to touch base on was, the Bigfoot sighting in the Pacific Northwest.
Right.
And if you live around in the Seattle area and even Washington State for that matter, I've actually seen it picked up by CNN and some other, broader nationwide news agencies. But certainly up here,
it gets special attention.
Yeah, it gets special attention, because Bigfoot's big in the PNW.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so... the Washington State Department of Transportation posted a photo on January 22nd from one of their traffic cams on Sherman Pass. And if you don't know where Sherman Pass is, that's way up in the northeast corner of Washington State, kind of up by Winthrop and close.
I don't think I even knew where Sherman Pass was.
It's out in the middle of BFE, so it's way up there. I think that's perfectly ironic that that's where it would happen, because it's,
Bigfoot don't want to be found.
right. And there's just so many forests up in that area, and it's very, very remote. If you've ever driven through Sherman Pass, it's just kind of way up there. So yeah, there was some footage, or at least some camera shots of what people highlighted as, maybe it looks kind of like a creature or somebody, but who in their right mind is going to be out there in the middle of nowhere on Sherman Pass, walking through the deep, deep snow just to, pull one over on us? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, Bigfoot's out there because he lives out there.
Yeah.
So,
I want to believe. So that was kind of interesting. And then less than 24 hours later, the Washington State Department of Transportation posted another video a little bit closer to home up there on Snoqualmie Pass.
Right.
And that's just a mere hour away from us.
We go over that pass all the time.
Yeah. And they've been doing a ton of road work up there because there's been a lot of landslides over the years, and they're wanting to improve that area, and they've widened the roads and
moved them away from the landslide area risk
right
area.
And everything's been altered in a big way, so it's a little bit more non-life threatening to drive over the pass in the wintertime. And then one of the things they did was they kind of created this big, huge wildlife overpass,
which is one of the first in the country. It's super cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool, wide, huge, and they've got a camera up there so they can watch animals as they cross. And wouldn't you know it, they caught some footage of what looks like a Bigfoot strolling across the wildlife bridge.
Awesome.
And it makes me feel kind of good that we actually built something so he could cross.
Glad we could help Bigfoot.
Yeah, we could actually help him. So, that was kind of interesting that's what had happened up there in Snoqualmie. So, just a couple of instances
go Google search the news for Bigfoot.
Right. I can actually post those up on the disturbintheburbs.com website for episode 9, which is what this will be.
Yeah.
Episode 9.
We're almost to double digits, huh?
We are almost to double digits. We're reaching very close to about 1,000 downloads. So if you want to average that over, since we launched at the end of October, so let's say November, December, January, so 3 months, we've had about a little bit over 300 downloads per month.
I really think that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great start.
Yeah, I think it's a great start. People are listening. We're having fun. We're doing what we want to do. So thanks, everybody that continues to download and listen to our little rinky-dink podcast here. We're having fun. We're hoping you're having fun, that you're entertained, that you laugh a little bit.
Yep.
I don't know
that is the goal.
Yeah.
Sad news of the day.
Right. Maybe we'll I want to actually make everybody kind of feel a whole plethora of emotions by listening to our podcast.
Okay.
Anger. We'll get there sooner or later. Shame. Maybe we'll have some shame involved here. So what's another great emotion?
Fear?
Fear. Yeah. Maybe by listening, you'll feel fear. But for the most part, we hope you're entertained and are just laughing and bemused a little bit. Sitting there, shaking your head, wondering what the hell we're talking about and what we're doing.
That's what we're after.
Yeah, that's what we're after. So, I was just, since Bigfoot is so big in the Pacific Northwest, it just reminded me when I was a little kid how big Bigfoot was to me. I lived in Walla Walla, Washington, and that's down in the southeast corner of the state, right by Oregon and Idaho, just kind of right down there. And we have the Blue Mountains just outside of Walla Walla, and they're really kind of glorified hills. They're not really big mountains or anything like that, but just outside of Walla Walla, there's an area called the Mill Creek Watershed. And hey, let's take a break here for a drink.
My ice jingled.
Yeah, my throat's getting a little dry here. Drink them if you got them. Anyway, so in that Mill Creek watershed area growing up, there was quite a few Bigfoot sightings. Real, fake, I don't know, but they
seemed more frequent, because I can remember them from when I was a kid as well.
Sure, yeah, and that was for me, it was the early to mid 70s. First, second, third, fourth grade, around in that era, and there's footprints that have been cast and plaster that exist. You don't have to do very much Google searching to find that stuff of Bigfoot sightings in the Walla Walla Mill Creek watershed area.
I've no doubt there's like Bigfoot museums, and I mean, we know there's been movies made about Bigfoot.
Yeah, there was several movies made in the 70s, and that's those movies scared the shit out of me.
Oh man,
because I remember seeing the trailers on TV way back in the day. And one of them had Bigfoot breaking through a bedroom window.
Whoa.
So you can imagine as a, second, third grader, how petrified I was with my overactive imagination.
Yeah.
Thinking that Bigfoot was going to come crashing through my bedroom window because I was very well aware that Bigfoot had been seen in the Walla Walla area. So
poor Jimmy.
Yeah.
Jamie, I mean.
Yeah, I was Jamie back then. I think even still some of my cousins call me Jamie when they see me that haven't seen me for a long time.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting kind of growing up in that atmosphere over there because it certainly affected me through all my pre-adolescent years, especially around bedtime.
Yeah.
When I would shut off that light and dive into my bed and pull the covers over my head.
Makes me sad when you tell me about that because I really never felt
I got over it, all right?
Of course you did.
Hey, what's that? What's that outside the window over there? That's just Teddy. Okay, well. So yeah, it was just, and again, the last episode we talked about with the UFOs, we briefly touched on, Leonard Nimoy's show in the 70s,
right.
That was called In Search Of, and it was, focused on like controversial, paranormal,
supernatural,
urban legend type of creatures and phenomena. So, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, and UFOs and all that sort of stuff. Really that kind of, gave birth to what's the show
that we like, the Grimm? Or?
Oh no, the old one, with Mulder and
X-Files.
Yeah, X-Files. That kind of stuff really gave birth to the X-File type of show and whatnot, the unknown, and it kind of made me think. What other kind of creatures are there? Any other kind of legendary monsters or creatures that exist here in the Pacific Northwest? In our area up here of the country, in Washington State. And a short, quick little Google search led me to a treasure trove of like legendary, monsters that people have cited, and there's legends over the last 150 years or something like that. So I'll just kind of go through these and color commentary if you want to. But
all right,
Lake Chelan. So we all know where Lake Chelan is.
There, yeah.
That's on your way to. It's past Leavenworth on your way to Wenatchee.
Yeah.
And Lake Chelan. That's Washington State's deepest lake there. It's
very popular tourist destination.
Summertime, just everybody's out there with their boat. There's a lot of vacation homes, beautiful area.
I didn't know it was Washington's deepest lake.
Me neither, but that's, that's what I read, unless it was fake news.
Mm-hmm.
But, hey. So it is the home of the reported Lake Chelan dragon. And there have been tales of the creature's existence for over the last 150 years. I couldn't find any, recent sightings, any news stories on anything in, the last 100 years even. I found nothing. But,
so we moved on.
So the conclusion was, it's probably a myth, an old story.
That's true. It would have kept up over the decades.
You would think, right? But the next one, there seems to be a lot of like sea monsters, waterborne monsters in the Pacific Northwest lore, because the next one is on Wallowa Lake in Wallowa, Washington. And that's kind of like in my backyard where I grew up in Walla Walla.
Is that one you took me to once? Or
We might have been there once.
The one with staircase?
No, that's up here in Washington.
Okay, then I have not been to Wallowa Lake.
Yeah, Wallowa Lake is over kind of in Oregon, just south of the border, southeast of the border between Washington and Oregon. So it's in Oregon.
Okay.
And it's in the Wallowa Mountains. Beautiful area. I've been backpacking up there, but I had no idea that there was tales of a creature that they have so gently called and nicknamed Wally. So Wally of Wallowa Lake.
So creative.
Yes. It's another long, scaly water creature said to be a distant cousin to the Lake Chelan dragon. How they would know that, I have no idea.
Well, back then, it was probably big news.
They might have done some sort of blood test. What's that thing that's really popular now where you can, take a blood test and you can see what all kind of nationality you are?
Or the genetics, like 23andMe or whatever.
Yeah, that's probably what Wally did, is he took a 23andMe and they found out that he indeed was a distant cousin to the Lake Chelan dragon. Not only that, of Nessie.
Okay.
Of the Loch Ness Monster. So they're all kind of related. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm making this shit up as I go along. Last known sighting of that, though, the report of that was 1978. So we're actually in the 20th century. So conclusion, undecided, but likely real.
Excellent.
Yeah. So anything in the 20th century, if there's a sighting, it's got to be real.
People are more reliable?
I don't know how reliable
Rational?
they are. I don't know how, yeah. Another interesting creature was sighted up in the Mount St. Helens area in the 1980s or 1980.
That seemed like a very likely area for a creature.
Right. And that was 1980 was prior to the big explosion, right? On Mount St. Helens. When did that happen? That was
May
82.
18th, 1980.
Oh, okay. So there was a sighting of a creature that they have nicknamed Bat Squatch.
Okay.
So, hey, let's take this seriously, all right?
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a horrid-looking 9-foot creature with purple skin, piercing red eyes, an ape-like head, and wings.
Okay, that's fake.
I don't know, man. A flying ape bat
Purple
thing?
scales.
Purple people eater. Huh? Maybe there's some truth in that song.
Maybe.
Anyway, conclusion, undecided, but must take a road trip to Mount St. Helens, huh?
Totes.
Huh? We're going to go looking for the Bat Squatch.
Bat Squatch.
Yeah. And then Crater Lake, right? Crater Lake is down in Oregon. Yeah, I've always wanted to go down to Crater Lake. And that is actually the deepest lake in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So...
That's impressive. Okay, there's got to be something supernatural in there, or whatever, some sort of creature.
Well, this doesn't even have to do with the depth of the lake. Apparently, there is a little island out in the middle of the lake. Oh, we've seen it. Of course, there's
Pictures,
an island, right? And what they are saying is that there are something that they've called the fire spirits that haunt the Wizard Island.
Things take a creepy turn.
Yeah. So I don't know. Could fire spirits be good? Do they have to be bad?
No, you're right. You're right.
What's that little creature on the Miyazaki movies? Is it Cypher or
Calcifer?
Calcifer, right?
Thank you very much.
So I mean that could be a fire spirit, right? And Calcifer was kind of a fun creature. So maybe that's what they're talking about as far as fire spirits. But park rangers, and when you say park rangers, I think 20th century, right? That's fairly,
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if park rangers existed back in the 1800s, but,
I don't know. And I'm not going to find out.
All right. I'm going to say park rangers are very 20th century. But apparently they've observed campfires on the island and took a boat out to the island to explore, only to find 0 traces of flame or smoke.
Ooh.
Conclusion? Real. End of story.
Yep. Calcifer is real.
Calcifer is real.
Awesome.
This one's kind of interesting. Down in Salem, Oregon, they have a creature that exists out in the forest that has been called Menorah.
Menorah?
Yeah, it's spelled Mynoghra. And she is AKA...
Menorah?
Yeah, that could be Menorah. I think it's Menorah.
Okay.
And it's the she-demon of the shadows is kind of the nickname of it.
Definitely sounds bad.
Yeah, and it's a multitude of creatures called the Menorah. It's not like, hi, my name's Menorah. Right, it's like...
like a race or something.
Yeah, like a hexen beast or a flauten beast. Or whatever they're called on Grimm. Anyway, but Yeah, it's apparently a succubus. So,
Okay.
you know what a succubus is, right?
Stay away.
Yeah, it's a sex demon that comes to you in your sleep.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go there. But
And I guess it's some sort of, cousin of something else called a Nyarlathotep.
okay.
So anyway, the menorah is something that has been explained to, looks kind of like an alien and has tentacle hair kind of looking creature.
So like an alien Medusa.
Yeah, it's kind of like Medusa or something like that. Apparently she lives in the forest and is worshipped by the witch cults. So, hey, conclusion, completely valid and real.
You just want it to be valid and real because it's a succubus.
Right. A sex demon that comes to me in my sleep. Yes, please.
All right.
Anyway, and then finally, right in our own backyard here, in the Puget Sound, Lake Union, and Lake Washington. And if you live in this area, you know that they're all connected, right? Mm-hmm. Lake Washington feeds into Lake Union, which feeds through the locks into the Puget Sound.
Right.
And we have the Woolatook sea serpent. It's a giant sea creature that sightings that date all the way back to 1736.
Well, holy cow.
Yeah, so the tales of that have been around for a long, long time. I'd be interested to read more about that because,
Well, here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
So sightings all around those three bodies of water, but, like if he was last sighted in Lake Washington or Lake Union, is he stuck there forever now? Because otherwise he's going to have to go through the locks.
Right.
Well, unless there's some sort of underground,
And there's some big-ass creature coming through the locks when the boats are in there.
Surely they're going to notice.
They're going to notice. So he's either out to sea or he's still in Lake Union, which I don't want to take one of those putt-putt boats around Lake Union anymore, Let alone do I want to go like water skiing on Lake Washington.
Right.
If that shit's out there in the water,
the Woolatook sea serpent's going to get you.
Right. So conclusion, I'm undecided.
No recent sightings on that?
I need to do a little bit more.
I think we need to get to the bottom of it, clearly.
The lake or...
Yeah.
Bump. So that's what I got. Those are the kind of cool local Pacific Northwest urban legends that...
the more you know.
Yeah, exactly. I do have that soundbite, so I'll put that in there on the track. And
I mean, I didn't know any of those, so that was pretty fun.
yeah, those are fun. And of course, that can't help but remind me of one of our favorite shows that we watched for 6 seasons that came out of Portland, and that was Grimm.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason that show was based in the Northwest, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we got a lot of weird shit that happens up here. So
I kind of love that.
Yeah, and if you're a Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan and now you're an adult and there's nothing to replace that, Grimm is an excellent replacement for what...
binge that one.
Yeah, for what Buffy was. If you haven't ever watched Grimm, that was a fantastic show.
Mm-hmm.
6 seasons, and I heard that they were might actually be bringing it back.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, kind of a Grimm version 2.
Mm-hmm. New cast, maybe?
Oh, yeah, and it's going to be focused on a... female lead Grimm character, and a Grimm is actually the warrior, the one that hunts down the...
Kind of like the Vampire Slayer character.
Yeah,
right?
So the Grimm is and there's multiple Grimms out there, and they're the ones that hunt down these kind of magical evil creatures. Like I said, Hexen beasts, and they all had German names on the show,
right.
But basically there were werewolves
like handed down from the original Grimm
fairy tales.
Fairy tale authors, and there was all this lore and books with illustrations that they would refer to, and
right.
It was a great premise.
Yeah, it was a good show. I was sad to see it go, but I will be first in line if it actually ends up being a spin-off, and I would watch it. I just hope it would be in Portland again.
Yeah,
it might not be, but Portland can support another weird show.
Or have it based in Seattle for once.
Yeah,
we need something besides Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time.
Learned something.
Yeah. Hopefully you felt a whole plethora of emotions.
Ooh, did we spike any fear in this one? Probably not.
No, the only thing I spiked was my beverage.
Okay.
All right.
We tried.
Love you, Jen.
Love you.
Thanks for chatting.
Of course.
Bye.